way back in the corner. He'll be have to take it if you would say it by turning it over the...
There you go. These are our pants.
Joey, look at Granddaddy's white. You have to let it show. That's the way it's done.
What's that?
So don't mind you. Don't go around holding your arms.
Oh.
He doesn't. Now don't run around. I don't want y'all hot.
Mayor got me on camera stealing a piece of
I just think this is the most wonderful thing that you're doing, Mr. Joey.
I see how you like
I looked at him.
I didn't have it coming over here.
Over here. Okay, now, and when Josh
We're asking people, since you came early, we didn't start.
Hey, I was just trying to get you on the
Otherwise, nobody will do it. Okay, now the party can Okay. See, it says here, they were married on a certain day by Charles Bailey, Reverend Dr. Bailey. I think you can get
little bit of feed instead of.
Sure. Well, good idea.
Kids out here.
You must have a camera pack, battery pack in that, huh?
Close to anyway.
Oh, Claire, I'm in the front of you. Should be crazy to get to someone said.
That was nice to meet
So I don't know when you were married. We had quite a few there that
It's not moving. Oh, there you go. That's closer. That's farther away now. It's got automatic focus to Oh, yeah.
Oh, what's Ethan?
I better go around this, hadn't I? Good to see you. Yeah, pretty nice outfit here. Yeah.
We've been standing in front of the
You guys should
Larry and Carolyn.
sun's down. I don't think they're putting lights very
Good stuff.
He was right.
Hi, Claire. I'm sorry. I hope you didn't take my picture while I was there.
Just right in it.
Looks like I'm a pig, but I'm taking one for Barbie.
I'll just pull her.
Good evening. Can you hear me all right? Good evening. Well, we always start the evening with a lot of fun and an administrative announcement. So everybody will grab your seat and we'll know who doesn't have one. And we'll provide for those who do not. We're having a tough time finding out how many seats we need or should add. We don't have to be too quiet. How are we doing in the back, Jan? Sit if you have a seat. That's pretty good. Just to keep you bored a little bit, Lord, I'm Jim Walker. I came along early on, and I'll be talking to you later in the evening. Mom and Dad had a tough time with me, and there was a debate whether they'd have any more. No, that's not true. I think I got brothers and sisters now. How are you feeling about that?
Wherever you tell me.
That'll be fine. So we really...
Since I've already broken the silence, it is indeed a pleasure to have you all come. You've all made a lot of effort to get here. Wish I could have been on time. I only live around the corner in a house. It's not too hard to get here. But it's a real pleasure. I'm sorry I don't know you all personally. I hope before the evening's over, all of our family will get to know all of our children's friends and all of our parents' friends and all of our brother-in-law and sister's friends, and it'll be a happy time. If you'll just take it upon yourselves tonight to include yourself as part of the family and start introducing yourself to some of those name tags. If you don't know who they are, where they're from, give them 20 questions, and you'll feel real comfortable when this is all over. So I appreciate it. We'll get at the serious stuff here in a minute. In the meantime, if you've all found a seat, I'll find mine. Thank you.
Now, if anyone didn't have punch and would like it, which one would you like? Oh, I do. That's fine.
Pastor Tom, this seems like a very quiet and holy hour.
Maybe quiet. I don't know about
I'm not even going to give you an interview. Well, this is the pastor for Mom and Dad and all the rest of us when we're here. And we'd just like Pastor Tom McDermott to open the evening, and we're just kind of dedicated to it.
I did some figuring today, and I have 33 years to go. Carol and I do. Before we'll celebrate 50 years. And that means that I'll be 86 years old. So, Jim, I can do it. I can do it. Look where you are today.
That's right.
That's right. This is really quite a clan, isn't it? And it's a real delight and privilege and pleasure to be here tonight and to just share our love and our appreciation for Jim and Dottie and what they mean to us. You take your ranks with a relatively few number of couples. There aren't too many that have the privilege of being together for 50 years. We live in a day and age when marriages are ravaged by divorce, and so it's kind of neat to see two people that could put up with each other for that long a period of time. And glad that the weather cooperated, nice and cool for Jim so that he could enjoy the evening. But as I thought about tonight, I was reminded how the scriptures tell us over and over again that if we have long life, it's of the Lord. If we have successful marriages, it's of the Lord. So the Lord be praised, and to God be the glory. I trust that as we share together tonight, His presence will be sensed. I trust that as we partake of the food that has been provided for us at these tables. God will bless it to the nourishment of our bodies, and then our conversation, that it might be pleasing to Him, that the entire evening might be dedicated to His glory. In 1 Corinthians, we read, "Whatsoever ye do, in word or deed, do all to the glory of God." And so tonight, even in our celebration, we would have this be to the glory and to the praise of our God. So let us pray together. Father, we do thank you for this very special occasion that brings us together. Certainly a lengthy milestone in the life of Jim and Dottie. 50 years of walking hand in hand, not only with each other, but walking with you, and especially in these later years. And how we thank you for that. Thank you for invading their lives. Thank you for touching their hearts. Thank you for the response of their hearts to you, and that they have come to know Christ as their Lord and Savior. Thank you that as we meet here as family and as friends, we can do so in a spirit of rejoicing, but also in an attitude whereby that which we do might be to your honor and to your glory. We dedicate this evening to that end. We trust that you would bless us together. Thank you for the food that has been provided. Grant strength to our bodies. Thank you for fellowship and friendship, and for the opportunity of speaking with one another, getting to know new people perhaps, and renewing old acquaintances. Pray that you would bless our conversation, that it might be honoring to you. But then too, our Father, we pray that you would bless Jim and Dottie tonight in a very special way. May their love grow for each other, even as we would ask that their love might grow for you. Pray that you would bless their children, grandchildren, the great-grandchildren. Pray that you would bless this family, that they might continue to walk with you. I'll thank you and praise you, for I ask these things in Christ's name and for His sake. Amen.
As they used to say in the Army, the bar is open. We're talking about the food bar. Please help yourselves. Don't sit stuck to your chair.
Just get up and start the system.
Aren't you guys going to go first? Are you guys going to
Pick up thy plate and walk.
They should go first.
Aaron. We got tongs for all these things.
Tell them who you are and they'll understand where you're coming
I can't tell you what it is. You'll have to go yourself. You don't need to cut through that. It takes a while. I get hot food.
Okay, this one right here we got catfish. Keep going on. You got 8 rolls and stuff.
this is so hard. That felt wet.
All right. Dottie. Dottie and Phil. 1900.
What a tape.
Christy, you go ahead, I go ahead. What's this? These are egg rolls? Look at these egg
This is the best one. What is this?
This is sweet potato back.
I can't.
That's a mushroom. Joey, you want some fruit? You want cantaloupe? Okay, one thing that's a mushroom. Want some of this?
Goodbye, Lord. He told me that I had found something that he'd like to find. Can you reach my friend? You're the only one who can. Lord, I know you love him. Make him understand. Can you reach my friend?
No, I wasn't here. Unfortunately, my sister and I stepped out a moment. So my special request the children to sing again because I can't miss that part. We were out there, Janice didn't know. Children, would you come and prepare to sing, please? Also, there's very, very much food. I hope when they finish singing, you come back while the piano's playing and help yourself. We have lots and lots of food.
By popular demand, we're going to have the foursome. Hey, great message here, folks.
I'm going to put you on the road, Jim.
Only cost you half as much. No.
Gotta be on the stage. Next one out of town.
I got a call from a good friend. We laughed about how we had changed, but I could tell things weren't going as well as he claimed. He tried to hide his feelings, but they only gave him away. The longer I listened, the more I kept wishing that I knew the right words to say. Can you reach my friend? You're the only one who can. Lord, I know you love him. Make him understand. Can you reach my friend? Bring his searching to an end. Help him give his heart to you. We talked for more than an hour. Smiled when he mentioned your name. I said that I knew you and told him the difference you'd made. He never thought he would need you, but maybe he's changing his mind. As we say goodbye, Lord, he told me that I had found something that he'd like to find. Can you reach my friend? You're the only one who can. Lord, I know you love him. Make him understand. Can you reach my friend? Bring his searching to an end.
paying attention, you notice you got a verse that time you didn't get the first time. And I'm going to ask my mother to please stay in the room. I don't want the rest of the children repeating what they're going to do.
I don't know if you knew that. Of course, you knew that the two boys belong to me as grandsons, but the two girls belong to our friends, the grandchildren of Cunninghams from Ottumwa, and the children of Kathy and Lynn Mosier. They knew each other in their church down there. In fact, they were all born along around the same time and knowing each other all their lives. So it's good they're here and could sing together tonight. I know you enjoyed hearing them like we did. Now we'll go ahead with the music. Thanks for listening.
Love them while you can.
You know, I think I got
thank our relatives and friends and neighbors and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and everybody for coming to make this party a success. And I just, well, I don't know. I haven't felt this good in quite a while. I'm not drinking. Don't eat all my coffee. So, I really, though, am very happy tonight. It's one of the high points of my life. And I think if you make it to 50 with the same gal, that, you know, you're kind of lucky. And I think I'll let Dottie give me a toast.
Jim, I just want to say it's been great 50 years. You're pretty eccentric. You're not always easy. You're very talented and a bit different. You're never dull, that's for sure. And I just want to say you make me very happy. Sometimes sad, but mostly happy. And I want to drink a toast to you, my husband and my friend, for 50 years, and my sweetheart.
Oh, hey, here, here. I believe I have to return a toast. Anyway, I'm going to take a drink. That's your punch. Well, I'll tell you. There were two high spots in my life, and this is the third one. So I've got three high spots that I'll always remember. One was when Dottie said, "I'll marry you." I nearly fell through the floor. Because, you know, I was robbed the cradle. I was 40 years old and Dottie was 23. You know what robbing the cradle is. Get them young. So anyway, I've had 50 beautiful years of living. The first was when Dottie said she'd marry me. The second one was when she, through her finagling and good work, she made it possible for our clan, that is Chuck and Dana and the part of the family and myself, to go to a very deluxe Bible camp up on Schoon Lake at Word of Life. And I thought I was quite a good Christian till I hit that camp. And then I didn't even know what born again meant. So with Dottie's urging and Wordson coming on to preach, then he gave the invitation. Dottie and I were first down that aisle. And you know, that's the second time in my life that my life has really changed, and Dottie was responsible for it. The Lord used me, and I'll tell you what, at that point I was 72 years of age, and it's hard to take an old cookie like me, turn him around to 72 because he's sort of set in his ways. But Dottie did it. The good Lord did it, and Dottie helped him. And this is the third happening in my life that I'm always going to remember. The high points, that's the three of them. And I'll drink this toast to Dottie for helping to get me this far. Thank you, folks, for listening. Life with its sorrows, life with its tears, drift into dreams when I feel you are near. For I love you truly, truly, dear. If I had my way, dear, forever there'd be a garden of roses for you and for me. 1,001 things, dear, I would do just for you, just for you, just for you. If I had my way, dear, you'd never grow old. The sunshine I bring every day, you would reign all alone like a queen on a throne. If I had my way, I love you truly, truly, dear. Life with its sorrows, life with its tears, drift into dreams, dear. I feel you are near. For I love you truly, truly, dear.
Now we'll cut the cake.
Dad, you're being weak off.
What's that?
What's that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this thing's going too far.
Follow the signals up there.
I didn't know this was in the act. Oh.
Came so far, we're going to do these things.
That shows you what these Columbus people do to you.
What a whip light.
Well done.
I give you seconds.
More pictures, do it again. He said more frosting next time.
Is this going through okay?
How can I say thanks for the things you have done for me? Things so undeserved, yet you give to prove your love for me. The voices of a million angels could not express my gratitude. All that I am and ever hope to be, I owe it all to you. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. To God be the glory for the things He has done. With His blood He has saved me. With His power He has raised me. To God be the glory for the things He has done. Just let me live my life. Let it be pleasing, Lord, to Thee. And should I gain any praise, let it go to Calvary. With His blood He has saved me. With His power He has raised me. To God be the glory for the things He has done. Just let me live my life. Let it be pleasing, Lord, to Thee. And should I gain any praise, let it go to Calvary. With His blood He has saved me. With His power He has raised me. To God be the glory for the things He has
Unaccustomed to public speaking as I am, this is a great time to turn the meeting open while we get our dessert served. And just to ask if there's anyone, we don't want to let anybody get away tonight before we get into the children's presentations. And we'd just like to turn this open to friends, non-family members, and let them say whatever they want, whatever's on their heart. We don't expect you all to come here. We don't want you to feel any pressure to come here. But if there is something, if you just happen to remember maybe even something humorous. We don't want anything nasty tonight. We just take the funny stuff and just good memories. So if there's anyone who wants to come to the stand that's a non-family member, we'd sure love that. Oh, come on, we got them coming right now. I'll ask you to sit right there for a second, Doctor, and we'll be right back.
I wrote just a little bit, a close friend observed, because we surely are close friends to them. But Dottie and Jim, Earl and I treasure your friendship, and we became better people as we observed your giving spirit. First, your concern that everyone in your large family know Christ as their Savior. And then also we've seen such a caring spirit. When you see a need in some family or a missionary's life, you don't just talk and pray. You put legs to that prayer, and you give and give and give. When someone is hurting, you caringly try to ease that hurt. And Jim, your sense of humor is so refreshing and so needed in this troubled world. He reminds me so much of my father, his corny jokes, and always coming out with something. And he's just such a lot of fun to be with. And Grandpa and Grandma Walker, you are always putting your children and grandchildren above your pressing hours at your business. Those grandsons will mature, knowing how important they are, just because you took time every week and sometime every day to go and do with those children. Also, how important you've made our grandchildren feel when you make special time with your boys and ours and our families getting together. Thank you, Dottie and Jim. Our life is the richer because of our friendship.
I have to come up here and speak because I have to defend the medical profession. And I must confess, I feel like I'm going to report the walkers to the American Medical Association in Chicago. We're supposed to know how to do it. Here I am, I got a stiff neck, I can hardly straighten my neck out here, and I'm just a kid compared to Jim. He's 91, and I don't know how old Dottie is. But anyway, I just feel that I'm going to have to report them to the AMA. They're practicing medicine, they're staying very, very old, they're very well, and here we doctors, we're just not doing any good at all. So Jim, you better be careful if you keep staying so well for so long. We doctors are going to get after you for stealing our secrets that we don't know about.
I'm Boyd Soderman, and I'm from Ottumwa, Iowa. Our first encounter with Jim and Dottie was when they moved to Ottumwa. And that's been one of the highlights of our lives, to meet Dottie and Jim. They are wonderful friends of ours. I retired a little early in life, I guess. Some people say when I was a kid, like 63 years of age. And when Jim was celebrating his 90th birthday, I said, Jim, don't you think it's about time to retire and take up a hobby? He says, what for? I got a hobby. I like people and I like to travel. Jim, I think that's great. And at this time, I'd like to again congratulate you and Dottie on 50 wonderful years, and we're looking forward to see you again out in Arizona. We're those birds that go south that our pastor teases us about. But I don't think that the birds should be any smarter than people. If the birds go south, they got enough sense to go south where it's warm. Why not people? So congratulations, and I cannot help but echo the thoughts that were given by the young lady who preceded me. You're great parents, wonderful grandparents, and wonderful friends to have through life's journey. Congratulations, Jim and Dottie.
Thank you.
after Tom's already been introduced. Come, Tom.
Jim and Dottie, we do appreciate you, we do love you. I think that probably one of the most beautiful things that I see here tonight are two parents who have given to the world some very beautiful children. I think of the guy behind me, Jim Jr., who presently serves the Lord with Walk Through the Bible Ministries. And Chuck, I don't know you real well, but I know your daughter. And Pam Friedeveld has done so much to alleviate the hurting in the lives of so many women. She ministers faithfully with her husband, and I think this is a beautiful legacy that you leave. And of course, Jim and Jan are in our church with their beautiful children. Jim is the chairman of our board of deacons, and Janice serves so capably and so well in the church. And Barb, what a beautiful person you are. What a sweet spirit. And you got this from somebody. And I would have to assume that it comes from your parents. And so you're special people in your own right, and we see it in the lives of your kids. And I got a sermon just for your kids tomorrow. I hope they're all there. It's the 5th commandment. Honor your father and your mother so that your days may be long upon the earth, which the Lord your God giveth. Evidently you honored your mom and dad, Jim. Thank you.
Everybody else, I'm not going to hustle you. But we're going to move into our program. If there, I don't want to leave anybody out. If anybody wants to say anything that's non-family member, we'll move into the family portion. So, a mother of 1 and soon to be 2. She's also found time to write a number of books. And I think it's important to know that Pam is being led by the Spirit. There are needs out there in the area of publications that need to be met. Pam is being led to do many of those, working in conjunction with others, doing them on her own, and we're extremely proud to watch this young lady grow up and turn out to be such a beautiful girl, but most of all, to love the Lord and now to honor her grandparents.
When I look back over the years of my life, I have some wonderful memories growing up with my parents and also with the help of my Mimi and Granddaddy. And I think some of the fondest memories I have are the summers that I would spend with Mimi and Granddaddy, and also the trips that I would take with them. I remember vividly when I was just probably 4, maybe even 3, curling up on the sofa in the Florida room on York Road with Granddaddy and a big bowl of popcorn, and we'd watch Lawrence Welk together, and that was a hit whenever it would come on. And then in the afternoons, I remember sitting with Mimi at the kitchen table, and she would have these little colored toothpicks out there, and I would be learning how to count and learning my numbers and learning my shapes. And then as I got older, she would have the weekly reader and the highlights for children, and I would have my special study time each afternoon. And then the fun payoff of that was being able to go to swimming lessons, and then after swimming lessons to go to the little dime store where I got penny candy, and that was always a real treat. Then as I got older into pre-adolescent years, I remember going to in the summer to visit them, and Jan and Barb would take me to the drive-in movies, and of course they were teenagers at the time, and I wanted to keep up with them and what they ate. So I would eat everything they ate and then come home and lose it in the middle of the night, and Mimi and Granddaddy were right there trying to help me clean things up, and poor Janice would just, she'd snore right through the whole thing. Then as a senior in high school, my dad took a transfer to California, and so the rest of the family moved out there, and I had a few months left of my senior year to complete. And during that time, had the privilege of living with Mimi and Granddaddy, and they put up with all of my girlfriends and my boyfriends running in and out of the house. And I was on rally that year and made all kinds of brownies and cookies. I think I put them in debt with just the things that I would bake around the house to give to the different sports teams. But they saw me through all of that, and we have some wonderful memories during that. Well, Mimi and Granddaddy, you've had a profound impact on my life, and I want to thank you for the ways that through your example you have shown me how to work hard. You've taught me how to strive for excellence. You've taught me to keep a good sense of humor even during some of the tough times in life. And I'm really thankful to the Lord for the heritage that He's given to me through you. And I love you both very much, and it's such a treat to be able to be here. And I'm thankful that 50 years ago you started something, and that today I could be here to help you celebrate. And I have something for you that a number of us have worked on. You know, through the years, as I've had time with you, I've caught bits and pieces of your life together as husband and wife, and of Granddaddy's life, beginning as an orphan. And there came a time a couple of years ago where I thought, you know, I really want to know more of a complete story of my grandfather and then my grandfather and grandmother's life. So for the last couple of years, whenever we've been together, I sat my Granddaddy down at the kitchen table and put on my little tape recorder and pumped him with questions, and recorded the story of Granddaddy's life and then your life together as husband and wife from that point forward. And I've taken those tapes and transcribed them and put them in a final form, and I'd like to present that to you tonight. Now, I haven't done this alone. Aunt Barb has helped in editing it, and Aunt Janice has helped in some of the pictures, and Uncle Jim and Dad have had a hand in it too. So I would like to present this to you and have you open it now, please. The title is We've Come a Long Way from 2nd and Cherry. And Granddaddy, you'll have to explain that.
Thank you, madam. I'll accept it for that. You have to read some first. Well, we're going back now, really going back. I was 8 years old, 7 rather, 8. And we had moved into Chicago when I was 6 from, moved into Seattle when I was 6 years old. You know, 1903, the railroad, the Northern Pacific Railroad, just had broken through to Seattle from Chicago, and my foster mother that adopted me out of an orphan home, Uncle Tom was conductor on this railroad, Northern Pacific. He was working the eastern, was placed into the western division of the Northern Pacific Railroad, and we rode in old wooden coaches with a pot-bellied stove with lots of wood there to fire up and a tea kettle there to make tea. And I never ate so much bread and bologna. We had no dining cars. Well, we were about 9 days making a ordinary 3.5-day trip. But there were no restaurants. There were nothing but Indians and animals and breaking through there. We didn't know what time that the Indians would hit us, but we rode through. In 1903, we landed on the boards of Seattle. Well, my father, foster father, was alcoholic, and he left us in poverty, drank us into poverty. And of course, Uncle Tom, who was the conductor on the last leg of our trip, he sent us money and car fare to come to Seattle, and I had immediately picked up the idea how to make money. So I decided to sell papers on the corner of 2nd and Cherry. That, if you ever go to Seattle, this is my sacred corner. It's the north east corner of 2nd and Cherry in front of the Hughes building. I took that corner over and I sold papers there from 3:30 in the afternoon. School would be out. I'd grab 50 papers and run down from the Times office and sell till 6 o'clock till nobody come out of the office buildings. And then I'd run home and give Mother $1 because I'd sell 200 papers at a half a cent it cost me, and I'd sell them for a penny apiece. So I'd make $1 a day, and that kept some clothes on Mother and I. And Uncle Tom, of course, the railroad man, his wife happened to pass away at the time of the, this all happened to us when my father died. And he says, come on out here, Bess, that was my foster mother's name. You cook, I can't give you any money, and we'll give you a roof and groceries, and I don't know how you're going to get any money, but I can't tell you, we have to have it. So I brought in the little change, $1 a day, selling papers on the corner of 2nd and Cherry. And that's when I referred to everything good like this. Like I said tonight to Chuck, I said, Chuck, it's a long way from 2nd and Cherry. And that's what I mean when I say to my children, it's a long way from 2nd and Cherry for me standing in the rain, selling those papers. But I would bring home $1 a day to Mom, and we looked pretty good going to church. We were dressed clean. We didn't have much. And if you got an orange and a walnut for Christmas, that was a big deal. Because, folks, that's what, it's a long way from 2nd and Cherry to here.
I just think you ought to know why Dad calls that a special corner. He was not a very large child. And there were a lot of big kids trying to take that corner over because that was the traffic corner. Dad was smart enough to figure that one out a long time ago. And he kept an equalizer about the 4th paper down, called lead pipe. And anybody come up take his corner had to take a crack on the shins. By the time they got done with doing that, they figured Dad owned that corner.
This is the final product. We've come a long way from 2nd and Cherry, and it tells the story of Granddaddy's life until he met Mimi, and then Mimi and Granddaddy's life together, and the story of their children, and on and on. But I want to read a portion to you of what Granddaddy said about his wife, Dottie. He said, Pammy, I haven't said enough about Dottie. She's really been a great part of my life these last 49 years. It'll be 50 years next anniversary. Now we were talking last summer. These have been the best 50 years I've lived. It put the first part of my life to shame. Dottie was the turning point of happiness for me. She told me when we were married, Jim, I'll try to do all I can to make your life a very happy one from here on out. And that's just what she's done. She's one of the most unselfish people that I've ever met. I've never seen her refuse a person in want or in need. Dottie always rises to the occasion to help people, and she's helped many in our 49 years of marriage. There are a lot of things I like about Dottie. She's a smiley person, never droopy, never cross, and the minute you talk to her, she smiles, lightens the place up, and puts cheer in the room. On the phone, she's a terrific salesperson and manager. She can project her thinking over the phone with such a kind voice. People tell me when I call on them, My, you have a wonderful wife. She's so warm on the telephone. And that makes me feel very good. Dottie has closed many big deals on the telephone all by herself. Dottie has amazing abilities. I could not have started the New Sheen Company and made progress without Dottie. She's been my right arm through it all. She never faltered no matter what was going on. The first 5 years of our marriage were tough. We were just breaking even and things looked bad. But Dottie never lost faith, and I didn't either. We continued on and made it together. She's been the general manager of New Sheen Products Company. I was so busy selling that Dottie had to take over managing the company. Our life together, our love life, nothing wrong with that. We've been compatible in every way. We never had any fights over money because Dottie never wanted to spend it foolishly. In fact, she'd rather spend it on someone else or me than spend it on herself. Any idea that Dottie ever came to me with, I really never said no to. We get along great, and the Lord has proven that He will return tenfold anything that you give for a good charitable cause. Dottie's so efficient in the office. She's trained 3 other girls under her, Janice and 2 other girls. I could not have made it without Dottie. She's great in every way.
Dad has a way with words, doesn't he? I'd like to call on my bride. Charlene, you've got a poem that I think this group should hear tonight. If you'd be kind enough to come up here and tell us what you've written. What a great goal setter this pair is. Here's Charlene.
Well, I did this for a little smaller, quieter group last night. Maybe not quieter, but just a family and just a few people that were here at the time. And I didn't expect to do it again tonight, but here I am. For Mother and Dad's 50th anniversary.
A little louder.
With this momentous occasion, the Lord has blessed us and brought us all together by car and plane and bus to honor those we love so much who have toiled and served in our behalf through times of stress and trouble, soon vanquished with a laugh. Our Father, we call him Dad, has the heartiest laugh of all. Whenever we are near him, we always have a ball. Dad's life has not been easy, one of all frivolity and fun, whining and dining in eloquent places, nor frolicking in the sun. No, Dad has served his family, a selfless servant he, a patriarch in the highest sense. We're as proud of him as we can be. In Proverbs 68:5, our Father in heaven has promised to be a father to the fatherless, a promise kept, as we can see. As Dad explained a little bit earlier, he was an orphan. And I really feel that the Lord kept his promise and has really blessed him and been a real father to him on this earth. To complete and complement this man that we call Dad, there is another. Dad's special gift of God, the lady we call Mother. A lady in the truest sense, so clean and fresh and pure, never compromising standards, a model matriarch for sure. She's also a selfless servant. How many hours has she spent toiling in her kitchen, working in her basement? Our very own Auntie Mame. Her parties, they're the best. A hostess with the mostest, such a treat to be her guest. No matter what you call her, be it mother, sister, neighbor, friend, she's a Proverbs 31 woman, steadfast and faithful to the end. So tonight we salute you, Mother and Dad, on your 50th anniversary. We want you to know we are blessed to be part of your family tree. This really can't be our great last hurrah, because soon we'll meet in the air and continue the parties.
Join the family, and as such have become my parents, and as such I have become their adopted son. And to Mom and Dad, I love you, God bless you, tonight's special.
At this point, I'd like to take a break of about 5 minutes. Excuse anybody that needs to be excused. We've gone a long time since a lot of coffee and a lot of dinner. I'd like to take just a break. It must be me that needs the break.
Hey. Here we go.
I was told we need to be out of here in a few
Whoa,
minutes.
man.
We don't have
Why you
our
do
room.
that?
They can't get us back out. I wanted to say hello for my brother and sister. They're not here tonight. My sister is great with child, and her doctor told her no traveling. My brother is a doctor in the Air Force, and for those of you that have been in the Armed Forces, you know that you don't make your own schedule. So they couldn't be here, but asked me to give best wishes to them. I was trying to think of some way, how do you honor your grandparents? And the best way that I could think was to bring out, when you look at parents and you look at their children, I think looking at their children is a good way to judge the kind of people that they are. Think about Aunt Jan and Barb, Uncle Chuck and my dad. I think that's probably the greatest compliment that we could pay them tonight is to thank them for their kid. Of course, I know my dad. This is my dad. My name's Bob. I'm my grandson. I know my dad better than I know my Uncle Chuck and my two aunts. And my dad is probably the best Christian example I know. He's the best father I know. He's the best husband I know. And I think that's, I don't want to stand up here and say much, but I think that's probably the greatest compliment you all could ever receive. For me to stand up here and say thank you for my dad.
Hey, Bob. He changed that a little bit. That's not quite what I wrote, but that's cool. Bob, thank you. And I think you're right. I think that the children look at Mom and Dad as we get together, and this is what we see, is what we have had the privilege of knowing as we've grown up. I guess we're going to hustle through this next one, and I'd like to start off. We're going to go in reverse order, and we'll start with the youngest and work up to the oldest. And Jan, would you come up, honey, and tell them what's on your heart?
This is the hardest.
How about Hank?
There's some napkins.
Thinking of that fried food.
This is the hard part for me because I usually do this pretty easy, but I've been kind of building and I've been waiting. So anyway, as the youngest of the 4 children, I was really taken care of. My brothers being several years older than I was and away for quite a bit of the time. They're 17 years older than I was. When they were home, away from home, I grew up just with my sister. And she was my constant companion. And we did many wonderful things together. And I had a great support group, brothers who took care of me, a sister who was not only a sister, but a mother to me. But it was Dad who taught me my love for singing. And I don't do that much in public. I do a little bit, and I try to pass it on to the boys and let them carry that on. But there are fond memories of when I was very, very little. I would, when I was being given a bath, I remember Dad would play. He was a very big barbershopper, and we had a lot of barbershop music. And when I was having my bath time, I would sing. And Mother, who cannot sing, was teaching me to sing. And she was teaching me to sing off key. And Dad said, you cannot continue teaching Janice and Barbara to sing because you're teaching them to sing off key. So Dad took over from there on, and we had quite a repertoire of Jungle Town and If You Were a Tulip. No, when I was a tulip. How is that? You wore a tulip? Yeah, okay, that was our repertoire for quite some time. And if we didn't hit it right and harmonize correctly, Dad we'd be up in the bathtub and he'd say, hit it, hit it. You know, we weren't getting it right. But that was one of our fond memories. Anyway, he was always there when I needed him. And when I got a little older, a fond memory, Pam spoke of sitting with popcorn and Granddad watching Lawrence Welk. Well, that was a little later. When I sat with him, we were eating grapes and watching the fights. And those were memories because it was my way to stay up later, and I just stuff those grapes, and we'd sit there and watch the fights, and I could have cared less about the fights. Time with Dad. He was very protective and wanted to see to it that nothing ever harmed us, and he did that quite well. But it was Mom who was like a sister to me. Not that Barbara wasn't, but that Mom, in later years, as I went to college and Barb went on to work in Washington, she we snuck her into the dorm at college, and the dorm mothers and so forth wouldn't know she was there. And we'd feed her chocolate chip cookies all night, and we'd stay up so I wouldn't have to do homework and all that kind of thing. And she did all kinds of things like that with me while I was in college. And but what was really amazing is the fact that through all of this time in our younger years, while she was not only raising teenagers, and I think, how can I ever get through raising my 4 boys? But she not only raised teenagers and a little older, but babies. And at the same time, ran a business, ran a home, and did it all miraculously well. But she is truly an example of exuberance, life, vitality, and infinite energy. And I know you all know that. And she runs circles around me, and I run pretty fast. And she is just, just a constant state of doing. But there are many, many memories, and I could go on. One of the fondest is when I was 19 and Barb was 20, and we took a trip out west by car and went to all of those places, Yosemite and Las Vegas and all the biggies, except that you hear about. And we used to picnic on the back of the tailgate of the car, and I was in charge of the food and the luggage in and out. And Barbara, I forget what you were in charge of. She was in charge of something else. We all had little duties, but we remember that. And when my little memories, I remember Dad always worked and he'd be gone for a week at those times, and always home on weekends. And I always remember he'd come in with that briefcase, and we'd have steak, baked potato, and tossed salad because Dad cooked, and that was what the menu always was. And so every Friday we knew what we were having because that's what Dad did. But those were childhood memories. And now that I'm older and can look back, and I can truly say that I was fortunate to have been part of a very warm and loving family and parents who guided me through all my 41 years. Not many people get to this point in their lives, 50 years together, and that in itself is wonderful and a shining example to what they have been. And Mom and Dad are truly the Christian example, and I hope as the Lord tarries, He allows Jim and I to be that same type of example to our children that Mom and Dad have been to us.
Barbara Jean, this is the moment you've been waiting for. Yeah, please come. Thank you.
Move your lips there.
Read my lips.
I'll just say that I've never been good at speaking in public, and I get all emotional, so I've taped my message. And Kathy, you want to put the tape on?
Legs hurt so bad.
Louder.
A gentle spirit, a kind word for all,
You start it again.
most especially,
Start it again.
unlimited generosity, unfortunately.
A lot of background. Go ahead with that steak, Barb.
Janice, let me just try it here. Let me try it. I just want to say that they've taught us all some very good qualities. But I think most of all is to have a loving heart, a gentle spirit, a kind word for everybody, and to think more of the other person than you do of yourself. And they've done this for us by example more than they have by teaching. And that's all I can say. But I love you both very much.
I think we just heard from the first woman executive at the World Bank. Brother Charles.
Glad you have a light coat on, Dad.
some of us from California are a little strange. I showed up here with a light coat on tonight, and I was glad to see my father had on one too. It makes me comfortable. I appreciate that. On the flight over from Portland, Pam and I flew together.
Front of the mic.
On the flight over from Portland, is that okay?
That's better.
Thank you. On the flight over from Portland, Pam and I sat together, and I told her that I wanted to make some notes of happy memories that I could, geez, pardon, I'm having trouble too, that I could share, no, I'm okay. That I could share with you folks here tonight. And as I did so, I realized in going back to the 3rd grade and coming forward that a lot of the happy memories we all have is, I use the word in my mind because of sacrifice on the part of our parents. It really isn't. It's where they chose to invest. And I'm very grateful that they adopted Barb and Jan. Barb's gone on to be the Grand Poobah at the World Bank, and Jan is Vice President of Domestic Affairs for that Miller organization. I'm proud of them both. But you know, that was a decision that was made that could have gone the other way. My brother and I were in high school. I'll tell you a little bit about that. We were at Western Military Academy, and we were there because my brother, on his first report card as a freshman, 9th grade at Upper Arlington High School, brought home a D. Now, you just don't bring home D's to Mimi. Dad came home Friday night, and the board went into executive session 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, Jim was on his way to Western Military Academy in St. Louis. The reason that happened was because at Western Military Academy, everybody plays at the same time, everybody works at the same time, and that was the kind of environment that my brother Jim needed to get good grades. And because Jim was there, I wanted to go. So the folks were kind enough to let me go with Jim the next year. And as a tribute to my parents, in retrospect, we were the first 2 brothers to ever room together at Western Military Academy. And I like that because I was a little puny, and Jim always was strong, but a little overweight at that point, and he protected me very well.
Nothing's changed.
You're blind. I've got to blow my nose. I'll be right back. I'll try to hurry on. I'd like to go back to kindergarten. It's a long way back. I had asthmatic bronchitis, and you wouldn't believe it today, but I was puny. And because of my health, Dad gave up a very good job, headquartered in Huntington, Indiana, and moved west and bought a filling station, a restaurant, and some tourist cabins on Old Route 66 between Kingman and Needles. Because of that move, I regained my health, and in early 1939, we returned to Huntington, Indiana, and I believe Jim and I learned the first lesson that it's better to obey than not to obey the rules that are set before you. Mom and Dad presented us with new bikes. And one of the rules was we couldn't ride those bikes to school. When we were old enough to keep track of locks and keys, and we knew the traffic, we could ride our bikes to school. But in the 3rd grade and the 4th grade, we weren't to do that. Don't remember the circumstances exactly, but I do remember that my brother and I thought we could get away with it. I don't know where Mother was. She must have been busy. We took our bikes to school one day. There was a friend of ours by the name of Dick Huffer who was ill, not so ill that he couldn't be out and about, but he wasn't in school. And Mother contacted Dick Huffer and had him go down there and ride our bikes home for us. We came out of school, Our bikes weren't there, and we were petrified. We cried all the way home, and when we got there, Mother said, "What's wrong?" And we cried to her that our bikes had been stolen, and then she taught us a lesson in life. She said, "Well, what are the rules?" And we said, "The rules are you don't ride your bikes to school. And now you know that rules are to protect you and to keep you out of trouble. They're not to do any harm to you." And we said, "Yes, Mother." And she said, "Your bikes are in the garage, and you can't ride them for a week." We went out to the garage, and there our bikes were. Remember that, Tim? I think that was the start of discipline. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through all these years, but I wanted to share one more thing about our early youth. In the summer of 1939, when we were living in Huntington, Indiana, we went to Ridinger Lake, the small lake near Huntington, for the summer. I didn't realize that everybody else was just going for a week or two. We went for the summer. Dad worked, came home to Ridinger Lake on the weekends, and Mom palled around with Jim and me that entire summer. I can't remember all that we did, but I know it included fishing, boating, swimming, hunting frogs and turtles, and playing in a huge sandbox. And that's the summer I learned to swim. That's right, Mom. Thank you for reminding me. Anyway, it was at that time, just before we went into the 4th and 5th grade, that we realized we not only had a disciplinarian, we had a pal, only we didn't use those words in that day. We just knew we liked what was going on in the family. And Dad would come home on the weekends, and we had a lot of fun together as a family. In the 4th grade, we moved to Upper Arlington, Wyandotte Road, and I'm going to share this story with you because it gives a little bit of Dad's background and a little bit of Mother's too. Jim was going into the 5th, I was going into the 4th, and as usually happened in those days, there was a gang in each grade, and they had to greet the newcomers. And on the way home from school, the first day, we both got beat up. Not badly, not like the gangs are doing today, but enough that you were on the ground, your arm was up behind your back, and you had to say, "Give." We went home, and Dad got home on Friday night. I guess we waited till Saturday. Dad likes Friday nights to be pretty casual, doesn't like a lot of stress. So Saturday we told Dad the gangs had beat up on us. And Dad's immediate reaction was, "If more than one comes after you, or if he's bigger than you are, pick up a board or a brick and let the first one nearest to you have it." Mom's sitting there looking at this, and Mother has a reaction. It goes something like this: "Jim!" And one eyebrow goes up. That means that there's not complete agreement in the family. And that day both eyebrows went up. So Jim and I decided we should do something about this. And we thought about what Dad had said, and we thought about Mother's reaction. So he went with me while I beat up on Bill Keeley, who was the leader of my gang, and I went with him while he beat up on Bob Repine, who was the leader of his gang. We became good friends. But beating up in those days was really quite harmless compared to what's happening today. I have so much here, Mom and Dad, that I think for the good of our guests, I ought to share it with you at brunch tomorrow. There are a couple of highlights that I might touch on. They're also good. I could stay up here all night, and Mom and Dad would love it. The rest of you folks are getting numb someplace.
Tell us. Go ahead. Tell us. Go ahead. Come on, we want to hear it.
Well, this is another childhood story, but I think it shows the kind of leadership and counsel that we received. In the early years, while living in Upper Arlington, Chuck and Jim got mischievous. Three crimes committed near to each other. We were in the Cub Scouts, and you had to take a quarter to pay your dues. Jim and I knew you could buy 2 comic books and a Coke with those quarters, so we didn't go to Cub Scouts. We took our dues and went to the drugstore. Mom had a dime bank in the center of her top bureau drawer. One time when she was away on vacation with Dad, Jim and I discovered that we could get dimes out of that bank as well as put them in. and we started collecting gas caps. In those days, gas caps were on the outside of the car. Believe me, Packards and some of those were really nice gas caps. But we would ride up on our bicycle, put a hand on the gas cap, give it a half turn, and ride off. And we had 2 cardboard boxes full of gas caps when the folks got home from vacation. Now, all this was happening about the same time, so we were definitely going down the wrong road. When Mom and Dad got home from vacation, the first thing they found were the gas caps in the back of our closet. We got a letter from the Cub Scouts wondering why we weren't paying our dues. And Mom couldn't figure out why her dime bank was so light. So following these discoveries by our parents, we had some very serious discussions about honor, morals, honor code, and Dad took us to our bedroom, laid us out in our underwear, got his plastic belt, gave us a few lashes, and he said, "This hurts me more than it does you." I didn't believe it then, but I understand it now. And following that, we were disciplined, we were grounded for a while, and then the folks must have had another board meeting, because these are some other things that happened about that same time. We were given an allowance. So we'd have some jingle, as Dad used to call it. We were given a limit of 1 Coke a week, 1 movie a week, 1 comic book a week. And we were taught from our parents that being a walker was more than just being another person walking on the face of the earth. We weren't born again yet, but honor was important. We had to contribute, we had to obey the law, and we had to take care of each other. So at this point, we were still in grade school, and I believe that the lessons that we learned while in grade school helped us through the rest of our lives. A loving story: Mom and Dad bought us football outfits. We came home one Saturday from the matinee, put on our football uniforms, went out, had pictures taken, started going to football practices in the 6th grade. One Saturday morning, our little team had to go over and play another little team, and it was really bad. They beat us up pretty badly. The fullback on our team chipped a tooth. Jim and I went home crying. The folks didn't want any more to do with football, and they said, "We'll give you $5 if you'll quit playing football." So we quit playing football, but later that was rescinded. We didn't have to give the $5 back to them. Mother, do you remember our password? We had a password when we were in grade school. The family club. When Dad was home, we were pals. When Dad was on the road, we were pals. Hip to mini, gahana gazat, taboo yala yahoo. Yeah. Anyway, at 30,000 feet between Portland and Chicago, that came to me. I'm not sure why. When you think about Western Military Academy and where the folks decided to make their investment, I calculated that roughly on inflated dollars to go to Western today would be around $12,000 a year per student. And the folks decided to invest that because they saw a particular need, and they invested it again because they saw brothers that loved each other. And I'll never forget, my sophomore year, Mom and Dad took us to the coal hole at some hotel in downtown St. Louis, and they said, "Jim, Chuck, we're not sure. You're really happy? Are you doing this because we want you to? Or are you doing this because you want to?" And they said, "Do you want to come home?" And at that point, I think Jim and I had enough confidence that we could do it because of the support, the exhortation, the cheerleading, the boosting that we got from our parents, that we were willing to stay in that environment and compete. My brother, whose nickname was Potty, when he went off to Western Military Academy, grew from a fat guy to a hunk, and from an academic problem to an academic success and a leader, captain of the brigade at Western Military Academy. So I'm really proud that my folks chose to invest as they did, although the first word I thought of was sacrifice. And I grew from puny to non-puny. I'll cover this tomorrow, Mom. In covering the high school years, Mom and Dad, I believe I'm representing you accurately when I say your priorities were morals and honor. Your word was your bond. And even though we weren't born again, believing in God was very important. Second, education was the key to your future. Third, social life, how well you get along with people is a measure of success. And fourth, sports. Jim and I kind of looked at it, sports, social life, education, and honor, but we went with the folks and it paid off. College years, during those high school years when Barb and Jan joined the family, went from 2 kids to 4. And Jim and I were, I think I was a sophomore and Jim was a junior when Barb came along, and then it wasn't much longer before Jan came along because the folks thought they ought to have each other. They should have playmates, but Barb should not be raised alone. Selfish story I'd like to share with you. These are college years. Jim went to Ohio State, and I went to the Naval Academy. I was pretty uptight about going to the Naval Academy. I had flunked the NROTC physical. I passed the academic, but I had flunked the physical on my eyes. And I received word that I was 9 out of 10 in the country, honor graduate appointment to Naval Academy, and I was to report for my physical in Annapolis, Maryland. I was very concerned because I thought I couldn't get in because of my eyes, and I shared this with Mom and Dad, and they said, "Don't be so uptight, Chuck. Go on off to the Naval Academy, take your physical. Here's a round-trip ticket on the Jeffersonian, which was a train, and here's $100 in traveler's check. See Washington before you come back." And I thought, well, I got everything to gain, nothing to lose with a deal like that, so I went off to Annapolis, and Dad told me before I left that Colonel Marks at Western Military Academy, who wrote a letter on my behalf to Red Blake, coach at West Point, that I ought to take a copy of that letter with me, so I did. Sure enough, I took my physical.